Bum, 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 bum. Hey, my name is Crunk Chocolate, and welcome to End of Season Report, part of Shades of Blues podcast content season, streaming live on FanFest. Shout out to everybody in our Patreon who's watching with us as well. It's the off season, which means we can all relax a little bit, chill on the tribalism. So here I am asking some of my favorite people about the clubs in the Premier League, our Women's Super League. Today, we talk Aston Villa women, who also, villains. It can go both ways. It can be for men, it can be women. Anybody can be a villain. I like it. We good friends of ours. I haven't seen them, haven't chatted with them for a while, so this will be great to have them back on. I am very interested to see, obviously, hear how they thought the season went, but with so much in the summer that could happen, and I'm just excited to see how optimistic they are about next year. Maybe they can go and help us collaboratively take Chelsea from the perch, but also not let Arsenal win. And so I guess we'll see who might be there for that third spot. It could be my club, but I'm not here to talk about the club I support. I'm here to talk about Aston Villa, and to talk about them is our good friends at Part of the Pride. Hello, Freya. Hello, Emma. And Gary, hopefully technical difficulties withstanding will pop up and join us soon. Welcome. How are y'all doing today?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Really happy to be back. Love being on. And we can actually talk positively about Villa, which is quite nice for a change.
Yes. What about you, Emma? How's it going? How are you holding up?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, melting in this English heat wave, but other than that, I'm good. Excited to talk positively about Villa as well, because it seems like the whole of last season was all negative. So it's nice to finally have some wins.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we talk about the management, but yeah, had some downs, but had some ups. And when I was looking at the standings, the table, the final bit, I forgot you had that nice little run at the end of the season. It was very dark for y'all for a moment. Yeah, I do remember that. It was as quickly as I try to move on from this season, because of between all the injuries and the Bunny Shaw situation, it's just like let the Nick Cushing of it all. Like, let's get all of that out of my brain and quickly forget about it. But for people who will be watching for the first time, the way that this show works is our guests will be rating 5 categories: kits, manager, squad, supporters, and front office, using the American style grading system A through F. Feel free to use pluses or minuses. Yeah, simple enough. I very much enjoy starting with kits and have a little bit of fun, keep it light before possibly getting into sad topics. But hey, I'm here, and joy is the theme today, which I'm always here for. Let's start with the home kit.
From the Joy Stadium.
Oh, hey, I see what you did there. Hey. What grades do you give for the home kit?
I gave it a C, purely because it's just kind of in the middle. It was a bit same old. Like you expect the home kit's always going to be claret and blue. It always tends to go for the same pattern as well. So I just kind of put it in the middle.
I might go for a C+, because you're right, it was nothing special. It felt like Adidas was announced as the sponsor quite late on. So a lot of even the training stuff, everything was just like a carbon copy of everyone else's kit. It wasn't anything specifically Villa. So I like the little gold detail on for the 150th anniversary. So that's where the plus comes from. But yeah, just average home kit. So yeah, C+.
And it's tough because, like you said, the kit is supposed to have these certain colors. Where do you go out where does the adventure in the shirt come from? But also first year with Adidas, so how crazy should they get? I think I've heard positive things about the potential shirt for next year. I've heard where people are a fan of it, so that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I think, well, it can only go up, can't it? It can only get better. But yeah, I've seen a few different leaked versions, so they are getting better. And like you said, the further you get into a sponsorship deal, hopefully they'll start to learn more about the club, more about the character, and start to reflect that in the actual kit. But yeah, you just want like a little extra something, don't you? Because they're so expensive, and you just want to be able to like justify that almost. So yeah, a little something special would be quite nice.
That is completely fair. Oh, all right. What about the home kit? The away kit.
Away kit. Oh, actually, Emma has the away kit behind her, hanging up. I wasn't a fan.
It's
No.
boring.
It is. It's just white, isn't it, Emma?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
So, I mean, a D sounds harsh, but yeah. At least the one last season was white, but it had like a floral pattern.
It was like it had the outlines of the lion on. I think that's
Yeah.
what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you can actually see the lion because of the actual shape of the t-shirt.
Yeah, and the whiteness of it. So at least last season's white had a bit something to it, and that bit something that we were talking about. But yeah, this season's kind of just it's white. And Emma, is it claret and blue on the sleeves?
No, it's just blue, like here.
Blue, yeah. So yeah, again, all right. Maybe a D this time.
I went C purely because, again, I just kind of put it in the middle, but same reason as Freya. It's just plain. I much preferred last season's away kit because I love a white kit, but last season's just had that little something, that little bit of Villa. But this one's just it is just white.
Hey.
It's boring.
Hello.
There he is. We made it.
Actually, have to
Gary,
fill in the
can't hear you.
substitute.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, come now.
Excellent. Yeah, I called in the substitutes. I've just got a new phone. I was still on the old one. I'd have just set up the new one to join on this. So, Kronk, you're the first thing that I've done on my new phone.
I'm honored. Well, we might as well get you caught up. We were just talking about the home and the away kits. The way that this works is grade A through F. Feel free to use pluses or minuses. Give us your grades on the home and away kit for this previous season.
Previous season, I give the home kit a C. To me, it was still very plain. Just sort of, I like the new one. I know some people don't like the way sort of gold highlights and stuff like that on the new one, but I prefer the old one. It's a wee bit more substance. As for the away kit, I was a fan of the white one. I'd give the white one a B. But I did have a bit of an honorary mention for the 150th anniversary one. I know technically it wasn't just the women, but that was my favorite kit of last season. And I actually did give that one an A.
Is that the black one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's fair. And your third kit, I am a big fan of this one. No,
The blue one with the white lines.
The blue with the stripes. Yeah.
I was wearing it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
yes,
I might give it an E. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not. It reminds me too much of an old Man United top from the 90s.
That's fair. I can see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B- for that one because it grew on us. Because initially it looked like a PE top that you wear at school. So that was the kind of the vibe I got from it. But yeah, it definitely grew on us when I saw it in person. So yeah, I think I'm going to go B- for that away kit.
I went B, purely because, again, I didn't really like it when it was released, but then seeing it in person, it looks a lot better. And it's quite a classic kit as well, like, not in the sense of Villa, but it's very classic. It's just like plain blue with some like white and black, like little thin lines on. And I like the detail here with the silver stripes. I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
So I've gone B.
Yeah. And I do just want to shout out the original Pride shirt that they brought out, not the monstrosity that came out, but the original one that was like a light purpley type, not tie-dye, but it was very that was very cool. That had a A- from me, I think.
That'd have an A from me. I absolutely love that kit.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. But it was only limited edition, wasn't it? So it was hard to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just looks it up. Yeah, no, that is cool. That's very cool, actually.
Yeah, so mixed bag. Mixed bag.
Okay, well, we will keep it moving to the next category, which is manager. Like a majority of the clubs in the league this season, changed managers throughout the season, and it seemed to push you in a right direction. Obviously, it took a little bit for the team to kind of straighten things out, but when they did, you had a nice little run going. So I guess Len, you grade the season however you want. You grade because I've had some people give both managers a grade. I have had people just give it overall a grade to just the management because of it. So you just give the grading how you deem fit.
I had a grade for all three of them.
Fantastic.
Now I see why you needed those notes.
Yeah, see, I had to quickly make my notes. I'm going to just start off with Robert DePaul. I've given him, I couldn't settle, so I put a D/an F. Because I'm not mean, I'd probably go towards a D. And plus, we started the season strong. Like, we played Chelsea and then thought we were going to win the league because of how we played. But then the tactics were wrong. Like, I remember when he put all his wingers on. Like, we can't play 11 wingers. It was just, the lineups were a bit random and the tactics were all wrong and he'd lost the players. So it just went downhill quite quickly for Robert DePaul. Poor guy. Not really,
well, it's clear you can play at 11 wingers that just don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, it's just not a productive game of football. See, you're much nicer. I gave him a U. I didn't even grade him.
Oh, fair.
I love that.
Because I just, as soon as he came in, and I remember going to a press conference with him and I thought, oh, he's saying all the right things. And usually that's kind of a sign. They say all the right things and then don't follow through. And then you could just feel like the tension with the players and that like just something wasn't right immediately. So the fact that our players went through that and then it led to players departing, not wanting to, be here anymore. So yeah, I can't give him any grade whatsoever. So yeah, you from me for DePaul. But yeah, I think Arroyo came in and definitely was the right person. So you just wish if she'd have been available in the summer or why they didn't get her initially in the summer, whatever went on behind the scenes. But I think if we'd had her from the beginning and we had a proper summer with her pre-season, then I think she would have been right up there. But for what Natalia could do, I'm going to go B+ for Natalia. It was a rocky start, but we got there in the end.
Yeah. I put B/A, but I'd probably, if I had to settle on something, I'd say A-. And I'll read you my notes word for word. I put our saving grace, somehow managed to turn it around. We won 5 on the bounce. the atmosphere came back. We got our team back. She'd got the respect, and she put a lot in place for the players, especially team management, team building wise, especially towards the end of the season when they were on that massive low. So much was put in place.
Okay.
Well, when it came to RDP, for me, I wasn't quite as harsh as Freya. I was close to saying ungraded, but I'll give him an F because he properly failed. You know, from everything, you know. But what was seen in pre-season, he done a lot right in pre-season. The problem was that's when he should have been messing around with the tactics, not okay, I've got this out of the way. Now I'll play around with the team and confuse people and lose trust and lose fans and lose players. And it wasn't great. So no, he got a solid F for his failure. But Sean Goder, I gave him a C. He was the
my guy.
He passed. You know, he got his results. He was the sticking plaster that you needed just to get, you know. But when you're trying to get into a course and they're asking for C's or better, Sean was at C. He just scraped you over the line. But for me, when it came to Natalia, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. If you consider in high schools over here, you do like mock exams and like the middle of the year, and right, that's where you are, and you're striving to improve by the end of the year when you do your final tests. So for me, I actually give Natalia an A because it wasn't where she started, it was where she'd finished. At those last 5 games, beating the team that went on to win the European Cup in the process, you know, that's an achievement. You know, if you can't celebrate that and give somebody a solid result or getting solid results, you know, I don't know what you can do.
You're great on the curve, I see.
But definitely, you don't want to pick too soon. It's the same thing for the last 5 games, but you know, from 11th to sort of 6th wasn't too shabby.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I mean, this isn't. It's not for nothing. It has nothing to do with the last season. But since I have y'all here, I definitely want to ask your thoughts on it. This new relegation playoff. I know playoffs. I mean, obviously they have it in the championship on the men's side, but really just like playoffs in general is very much like an American thing. And a lot of my non-American friends tend to kind of hate the idea of playoffs at all in their football. So what are your thoughts on this new announcement?
I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the reason for it, and you're right, playoffs are usually a bit like, well, what's the point of that? Like what? Like you're right, it is very American, isn't it? But I think the teams we've got coming up in the championship, if that just sticks to one up, then there's a lot of teams that could compete at WSL level that aren't getting the chance because there's only that one promotion spot. So I also think we've seen teams like your Blackburns, like your Reddings, like your Sheffields even, and Southampton. It seems like they're in a bit of trouble as well. Something's not right there. And you just think teams and clubs need a bit of jeopardy, because if they think they're safe and they're just doing enough, there needs to be some kind of jeopardy to go down. Because if you just think, oh, there's one relegation place, we've just got to be better than those, then you're not growing as a club and you're not getting better. Whereas if you think, oh, actually, we need to get out of the bottom 2 places, we need to put more in, we need to do this, because those championship teams will take your place. Like they are fighting. If you saw Birmingham City this season, they, you know, should have been able to come up as well as London City. So, so in this particular case, I really like it. So it'll help that competition, and it'll push clubs that aren't really bothered about their women's team, and it'll make people show their true colours ultimately. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I'm another fan of it. You know, largely people are talking about wanting the women's game to grow. And like Freya said, it's going to have other teams that are going to push. For there's more than one possibility of coming up now. But also, if you looked at this season, whenever we were down at the bottom of the league, we were just going, right, we'll just have to keep ahead of Crystal Palace. You know, that was the way we were thinking. It's like, we just have to stay safe. You know, never in the wildest dreams that we expect to win the last 5 games and climb up the way we did. We just wanted to see another 3 or 4 points on the board from where we were, so that, you know, we could stay safe. And but we're talking about other clubs that are just doing enough. I think Villa's board is one of the ones that are guilty of just doing enough. You know, 2 years ago, they had a really good season under Carla. They were pushing sort of the top teams. And then they let it fall away. Last season, they didn't support her at all. We finished mid-table. And then, again, this season, we were down in the relegation zone the majority of the time because there's been no real investment. You know, the back line has been crying out for support for God knows how long, and they just don't spend money. So I think now that they would run the risk of losing that support and losing the extra money and just not competing. Villa, because the men are doing so well and they're quite proud of being in the European competitions and stuff like that, they don't want to think of a team associated with them being second or third class. You know, they want to be trying to stay in the top of every competition. And I think this is going to be a wake-up call for even the likes of that.
Yeah, brilliantly put, yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of that, the second play-in. So the second team can play the bottom team in the WSL, and whoever wins basically stays up. And that's going to be really fun, I think. And that's another reason you might get people watching the game who probably haven't all season just because of the jeopardy of the season. Like, I hadn't watched much of, I guess, WSL 2 now. But I did watch that London City Lioness versus Birmingham City. I watched that match, and I very much enjoyed it. And it has me more interested in watching more of those league games. And that's kind of what you want in the system. It doesn't really matter how you get someone here, as long as you can get them there and potentially keep them. And I'm here for it. Okay, cool. Well, we'll keep it moving. Yeah, we got everybody's manager grades. Perfect. Ooh, squad. Yeah, some highs, some lows. Obviously, you have some players on that squad that I enjoy, and we'll talk about the season. But I would like to hear what's going on in the summer, what's going on right now, I guess, and potentials. And also, I just kind of want to get a chance to be able to brag about Jade Rose coming to City. So, you know, but 2024-25 season rating for the squad. We'll start with you, Emma. What do you got?
Well, I named a few standout players before doing a full-on rate,
Sure.
but
Go for it.
a few standout players that I named were Maz, especially after she came back from injury in those last few games. We'd made a whole new wing-back system, which she worked well in. Maz is just, she works her socks off week in, week out, and doesn't get enough credit for it. And I'm really sad to see her go. That's still a bit of a baffling decision. Jill, when she came back from her injury as well, I think she started playing for us in January after her injury. Again, always fighting, always on the ball. Miri, purely that one game where she played centre-back, I just still can't get over it, because I saw the lineup and thought, oh no, we're doing a bit of a reshuffle. Miri's in centre-back. What's going to go on? This is going to be another situation where, a bit like when Rob the Power played all his wingers and we're just going to go for random. But she was insane. Genuinely played an insane game. And Chastity Grant is so fast getting down the wing. Like, she was just, again, working her socks off week in, week out. And I think she was getting more credit for it because she plays internationally, whereas obviously Maz doesn't. Well, didn't at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So she was getting the recognition, whereas Maz wasn't. I think those two are quite like par on par. But I kind of said maybe C+, because if we're going towards the end of the season, the squad did gel eventually. We got there in the end, but it was quite an average squad. Like, again, an aging squad as well, which doesn't help the situation being in a relegation battle.
Very good. That was quite solemn. That was quite. Oh, okay. But no, you're right. We do have aging players, and that's not. It's something we need to work with, and it's something we need to plan in the summer. And I think you've got players like Chastity Grant. You've got players like, as Emma said, Jill Bynes. When she came back, she was like a brand new sign, and she was great. I really hope we can sign Jill permanently. That'd be fantastic news. But yeah, Chastity absolutely stood out for me this season. Brilliant player. Yeah, Maz needs more credit, so I just hope she can have a team that give her the minutes and get what she deserves, because she's such a hard worker. I think Lucy Parker was really unlucky with injury this season. Unfortunately, that does seem to have plagued her quite a lot. But when she's fit, she's brilliant. So I think, as a team, I don't know, when we've had brilliant moments, we've been up there like a probably B+ being generous, like the best moments. But yeah, I think overall our squad annoyingly has been more of a C-. Like average, could definitely do better. And again, does that come down to manager? Does that come down to what's going on behind the scenes? But yeah, for a lot of the season when we only had about 9 points, it was it was rough. So yeah, I think being overall probably C+. Maybe. Gary, what do you think?
For me, I would have to echo what's already been said about like Maz. I'm a massive Maz supporter and absolutely devastated to see her go. I would still love the fact that she hasn't announced signing for anybody. I would love fella to just go, we made a mistake, will you come back?
Yeah, come back.
The fans will have her in a heartbeat. Whether she would want to come back to Villa after the way they treated her at the end is another story. But maybe the fans' love could be the thing that sort of tips the scales, because like she knows there's a lot of love for her in the stands. But again, Parker, unlucky with injuries. The first game of the season, yes, Ramirez did sort of create the goal where Chelsea beat us 1-0. But the majority of that game, Ramirez spent it in Parker's pocket. And there's not many defenders in the league that can say that they've kept her quiet, because she's just a beast. So I'm a big fan of her, but there's one player that I've always been very, very critical of. And this season, she's actually started to show a different side to herself, that she was getting an opportunity. Salmon.
I was going to say, I was like, ooh, who are you leading up to here?
Yeah, I have never been a massive fan of Salmon. But if you look at those last 5 games, some of the performances she put in, some of the goals that she scored, she was another critical part of that winning team. Maz was a critical part of that winning team. Mary, the way she put in the shift, even centre back against Arsenal, that's a world-class attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's a world-class attack. And she put in a hell of a shift for playing out of position. You wouldn't have thought she was out of position the way she played. Rach started to find her form towards the end of the season whenever we were all guns blazing, because she wasn't have dropped back as much. Suddenly we had Jill back, we had Lucy back, we had Mary back, we had Parker back. And Rach wasn't having to come back to do anything in her own 18-yard box anymore. She could actually stay up front and got a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think when
You know,
Rach realised she didn't have to do everything, then suddenly
Yeah.
she could be herself. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of the. Rach has to remember that she's 33. She can't do the same running and do the job that she's being paid for.
She was.
And we kind of need her to be scoring goals. It's not necessarily her job to keep the ball out of the net. It's more put it in. Just make sure it's at the right end of the pitch, please. Well, for me, it's going back to the same thing. It's a wee bit like the Sean Gooder situation where we're sitting down in an F, and those last 5 games we've done just enough to pull it up to a C and get that pass to keep ourselves safe. But we're going down the school front, we're grading like schools. That to me, they just done enough to get their pass. I know we finished 6th and would have broke our arm off at the start of the season if you asked us, did we want to finish 6th? By the end of the season, we'd have probably broken more than your arm if you asked us, did we want to finish 6th?
Yeah, that the run, like you all said, to finish the season. Yeah, 5 straight wins. Liverpool were in there, Arsenal were in that. Like very solid wins against solid squads, and in finishing strong, it makes you hopeful towards what can be next year if the right things are done. I was looking at the age of the squad, and you do have a few older players on there, but I'm seeing a lot of low 20s and just the right players, and maybe giving them the chances and keep playing fun football and the energy staying positive. Yeah, I'm hopeful. Aston Villa, at least even on the men's side, like y'all are a club where, I don't feel any way negative about you. So like I want to see y'all have success. Now, obviously there are other teams where my hate and vitriol just seems to go to. So yeah, all the vibes. I wish all the success for you.
There's 2 of the younger players in particular that I'm quite excited to see what they can do with a couple of years' experience. Missy Bo, who obviously just got her first call up to the main England squad, but has been captaining in the under-21s. There's been a few games this season for us, especially in those last 5, where she maybe wasn't the standout player because she wasn't the one that scored the goals or anything like that. But if you watched her, she just went round and done things quietly and efficiently. There's going to be a time that she's going to run games.
Yeah, she definitely grew into it, didn't she? Because initially, I could see what she could do for the under-23s, and I really rated her in the youth groups, but it wasn't translating into the WSL. And we were saying, weren't we, on the pod, why? Again, is it the setup? What's going on? But yeah, those last couple of matches, she really came into her own, and I think that's where that confidence comes from, and that's where that positivity, and if they can just keep that, she's going to be a cracking player. But we've got Rachel Maltby out with the under-19s at the minute, and
that was my second player.
And good, great minds.
Those last few games, the performances she put in, I can understand why they maybe let Maz go. I love Paula. I love Paula, but Maz is better. I'd have probably kept Maz and Maltby and maybe had Paula as the one that was going to be like the backup. The way we'll have Dan that sort of is a bit of a utility player along the back. Paula can do left or right. So, it's a bit of depth, and depth is something that we lack. I think letting Maz go is still a mistake, but Maltby's definitely one for the future.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And do you think they just went, let Pacheco go just because she is the older of the 2 players? And I guess if, because was it like her contract ran out and they just didn't sign her to?
Her contract had run out.
Yeah.
But like Maz isn't exactly old either. What is she, 25, 26?
Yeah, 26. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. over the few years that we've been weekly talking about football on the pod, and yeah, Pacheco, she's definitely one of the players that kind of stuck out. And when clubs are trying to grow their brands, I feel like she's a brander in herself. She understands the whole like YouTubing, getting people interested in her and things like that. That stuff can really help a club. So I get who's that person in the club now that could take over and be the personality of the club.
Well, that's what we were saying, because her vlogs were brilliant, like Insider, because we've very publicly said Villa's social media isn't great. It's getting better. It's definitely getting better. But at one point, her vlogs were the only way we knew what was going on, and the only reason we knew who was in training or who was out, or all these things. So, and that's how we also knew something was going on at Villa, because under DePau, she wasn't putting any vlogs out. And there was nothing. There was complete silence. And then as soon as that all changed, her vlogs came back, and we're like, right, okay, order has been restored. But yeah, in terms of personality, I don't know.
No, I don't.
I don't. If Jill had stayed, I maybe would have said Jill. Miri's got the personality, but she doesn't put it out on social media.
But Mary's very private. Whenever you look at her social media, like even now, her and Sammy away on holiday, it's like one or two photos, usually of nice stingray, or Mary taking photos of Sammy, because the pair of them are just adorable. I love how much love those two have for each other. Just radiates whenever you look at a picture of the pair of them together. It's they are a joy to see just how happy they are. But Mary's not the personality that's going to do that. She has the personality, but she's a very private person.
Yeah,
she just wouldn't do it.
No,
there's got a lot of
reserved players.
Yeah, there's a lot of Paola on their TikToks, because they've recently come on TikTok quite a bit. So I feel like if Paola could individually do something about that, then she'd be another personality, because she's incredible to watch. She's so flipping funny.
Yeah,
love her.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's Paola or no one.
Yeah,
that's it.
There's one player I'd actually like to see be a wee bit more active on their social media, especially because they have their own clothing brand.
Go on then.
Sarah. I'm surprised Sarah doesn't do more on her socials. It's always very subtle, but it's like, push yourself out there. Maz's M3 grew because she made it so public on her blogs and on her Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sarah could be doing exactly the same, helping her clothing brand grow. But she just doesn't. Her rates, again, seem to be very private.
No, I'm with you. So yeah, hopefully in the summer, this transfer window might get some other people to help that confidence, hopefully. Yeah,
because our club is very much known for making TikToks, doing tons and tons of TikToks. They also have a relatively young squad, but bringing in Carolyn, she has a really big social media presence, and I know that that's gonna help big time. And obviously, they just signed Jade Rose, and she seems to be pretty tapped into, and a lot
very
of
jealous of that signing. Very jealous.
Man, I wasn't the most familiar with her, but quickly learned a lot about her today, and just all the joy and all the people in city Twitter who have been, I guess, really posting about her for the last 6-8 months. So it's really cool to see, they're tapped in. And shout out to Doris, our director. She's doing her thing, and there's a couple of other players that were rumored to be interested in. So yeah, I know there's not much that the club needs to do, and honestly, addition by subtraction, getting rid of Joe Roard moving on, that's going to be really big for the club, because you couldn't you had to play her if she was healthy, even when she wasn't playing well. And we saw a lot of just meh play from her this season. So I'm hoping like Jess Park can step up, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, well, next is this is what y'all are tapped in. It doesn't get much more supporters than you, and this is what I enjoy talking to friends over in England about it, because y'all are a little more tapped in to the fan base than I would be for my team, even online, because unfortunately that's mostly what I get is online. I have friends who are match going fans, and I chat with them and stuff, and they keep me tapped in. But when it comes to Aston Villa, I don't know. I'm blind. So I now ask y'all, what grade would you give your supporting fan base over this last season?
It's hard with our fan base because you've got a really, really good core group of, all weather fans that will be there week in, week out, support the girls no matter what. As the fan base is expanding, you've also got the ones who are very quick to turn and very quick to judge and criticize. And so overall, I think, I don't know, it's hard. I'd definitely say a B+ overall.
That's good
For fan engagement, because I think our good, our really good strong core is stronger than that minority. But yeah, unfortunately, you've got the ones who are trying to ruin it by being so negative. But yeah, I think we've got a really good core group. We work with the fan club as well, and just trying to really get our supporters kind of together, because we've seen numbers decline this season for whatever reason, and a lot of people stopped going because the performances weren't good enough. But then you've got the people who've got the season tickets that they'll go whatever the weather. So yeah, it's been a really mixed bag this season. I think that also shows who the proper fans are and who the more casual fans are as well. So yeah, but I know Emma and Gary, you've been a lot more matches than me, because baby. But yeah, how's it felt for you two?
I'm gonna jump in. Sorry, Gary. Save the best till last. Save the best till last. What can I say? I've given it a C/B because the majority, like if you look at the fan club as a whole, we kind of split into two different fan clubs. So majority as a whole have backed the team, like we've been there with, in that massive lull where we were going to get relegated, and we were all convinced we were going to get relegated. We were still there cheering, like shouting praise for the team, like we were still there singing their praises, doing all we could physically could to kind of help them raise their spirits. But then there were some that were trying to sack every manager we had after we'd lost 2 matches. Yeah. And it's just like, 2 matches isn't enough to sack a manager. Come on, get real, guys. And then they were like, we want Carla back. We want Carla back. And it's like, but we didn't do it. It's not like we exactly flew with Carla. Like we had that fluke of the season a few seasons ago where no one could stop Rach scoring. And that's mainly the reason that we ended up finishing so high. But then even last season, I think, did we finish 9th? Something like that. So it's not like we flew last season. Like we still finished mid-table. So, but I think overall as a fan club, the main majority of us and the main people I speak to have backed the team, have been there through the highs, been there through the lows. We've been there through the ugly, like the good, the bad and the ugly is what I was supposed to say then, but that's not what came out. So we're going to go with highs, lows and ugly now. So yeah, I'm going to give it, I forgot what I said. I'm going to say B-.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being at the games, and I would go on the fan club coach. Now, Villa run a coach too, But I'm a very loyal person, and I always stick with the fan club. You know, that's where my friends are, and like even people that you don't know, you know, they very quickly become friends. You know, it's a very welcoming coach. Whereas I've met the ones that have run the other coach, and you know, it just wasn't the same. You know, whenever you walk into the fan club, you'll get a big open arm hug and stuff like that. So, you know, whenever everybody's talking about, it's like there's two sides to the fans. The ones that are very loyal and are there to support the team week in, week out, no matter what. And then you have the ones that almost feel like they're going through the motions just because they want to be heard complaining. And, you know, it's hard to listen to it sometimes. Like, as you were saying about Carla, you know, one thing goes wrong and everybody's saying, bring back Carla. Or whatever, Sean had those couple of good games and then Natalia had a couple of bad games. It was like, oh, we should have kept Sean to the end of the season. You know, it was like, it was just, they always had to complain about something. But it's a very, very small minority, you know, as Fred was saying, it is a very small minority. But for me, talking about loyalty, the last game of the season, the last away game of the season, the fan club does fancy dress. So whenever we go to the last away game of the season, the majority of us are in fancy dress. It's not that everybody dresses up. It's not some people's bag. But most people did. And the thought and effort that went into some of those fancy dress outfits, but some people even brought a change. You know, there was one person that got on the coach dressed like Peaky Blinders, and whenever they got back on the coach, they were dressed like a priest. You know, they brought two outfits and changed at half time during the game.
I love it.
It's like it's that dedication. But on top of that, being involved with the fan club, that last away game, Phil had done their coach for free. Usually they charge, I think it's like £15 for their coach, £10, £15. Now, ours is usually 15 to 20, depending how many people go and size of the coach and stuff like that. But because Phil were doing their coach for free, Tracy, who runs our coach, wasn't expecting us to have as big a turnout as we usually do. So she originally booked a 19-seater coach for going to West Ham away. She kept having to order a bigger coach. We started with a 19-seater and finished with a 54-seater because more and more people just wanted to come to the game. And that, to me, spoke volumes about the fan club and the loyalty around that, and the fans that wanted to go to games, the fans that want to do fancy dress, the fans that want to support the players, and the fans that want to support the club. And, you know, I'm going to go with Freya and give it a B+, because despite those few little negatives, there's a lot of good. And, you know,
and the team appreciate it as well, don't they? The effort that went into it, and you can see that relationship with the team, like, spurs you on to even be a better fan, and to go to more games because they know that you're turning up no matter what, and you know they recognise some of us as well, and it's just and it's not, you know, they recognise us like for the glory or anything like that. It's just like an appreciation. And that's kind of what we want to kind of show our appreciation and support, and for them to know that no matter what, we're not turning on them, because we've seen, you know, how social media can be a horrible place for players, and quite a few have spoken out about it recently. And you just think, you know, we're there to support the team and we wouldn't wish anything negative on them whatsoever. So to those people who do, you know, keep to yourself. You don't have to say it on social media. Just, you know, go away. No one wants it. And we'll just keep promoting this fantastic atmosphere. So yeah, it's a great place to be. So if anyone's, you know, in the area and they're not sure, please do come to a Villa game, because we're a lovely lot, and we have lots of fun. So
the other thing I like is the amount of stadiums that we go to around the country.
Yeah.
How many clubs do we outsing?
Yes.
You know, no matter how many people we take, we have outsung clubs in their own stadiums. You know, Arsenal's a wee bit harder, you know, because they're bringing sort of 50,000 and we maybe have about 400. But, you know,
We try.
you go to United, it literally is a library.
Yeah.
You know, that there's so many clubs you could outsing. Even West Ham, the last away game, we outsung them as well. I'm pretty sure they have microphones in front of their fans, trying to make them sound louder. And even that last game of the season, if you watch the clip of Maz when she scores, there was 4,000 people in the ground that day. See, whenever that ball hit the back of the net, listen to the clip. 4,000 suddenly sounded like 40,000. There was that much love for Maz.
Yeah.
And that's full of fans.
I love it. Y'all talking about how the club recognizes and appreciates you as fans, match-going fans. It reminded me of when Kirsten Kasperide did her extension. It was with a bunch of people from the Man City Women's official supporters group, and Kirsten did like a choir conductor, and they sung her song to her, and I love that because I was just like, oh, hey, it's I know, like I'm able to like point out these people. I know this person, I know this person, I know this person, and it was just, and then once that went live and just seeing them all responding to it and finally being able to like show their photos and videos from doing that and them being able to express how much being able to participate in that meant to them. It's things like that. Me being all the way over here, I was like, when I went to the women's game, I was more excited to go to the women's game than I was the City men's game. And it simply was because of the supporter group. They're just so cool. They love the club. The energy was there. Like the 50,000 less people at the women's game, but it was so much louder than the game that I went to in the men's at Brighton. Like it was insane. The energy was fantastic. Like at the men's game, the person I was sitting next to on Twitter, they called me loud, and it was like, yeah, it's my first match, and I'm of course I'm supposed to be loud, right? And then at the women's game, I'm like yelling into my screen, and then all of a sudden people are coming around me trying to join in and yelling with me, and it's just the complete opposite energy. And it was like, this is what's gonna make me want to come back. So when I plan on coming back, I'm looking in December because I have one of my favorite artists is doing a tour and will also be in Manchester, so I might do like a double duty. But I was definitely looking at how many of women's games can I go to, whereas when I went there a couple of months ago, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I was more focused on making sure I get to the men's game. Now I wanna go and support our City women as many times as possible, not necessarily the men's. I mean, I'm gonna go see both, but I would like to see 2 women's games and 1 of men's. So we'll see how it goes.
Fantastic.
Okay, final category, the front office. This is always the one that I'm most interested in with people because it can go so many different directions. And, you know, they obviously brought in a manager with DePaul who didn't necessarily do the right things, but they eventually got the manager situation correct. But then Pacheco's being let go. So like it's this up and down. So I'm very interested in hearing y'all's thoughts and grade on the front office.
Where to start? I think we can all agree. Maybe the wrong people have been in charge.
Yeah.
Past a couple of years. However, we do have a new director of women's football, Marissa Ewers. She is an ex-player and has been general manager for the past 6 years, I think. And she's now made the move across to director of women's football. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. But yeah, there's been a lot of issues. Obviously, we don't know the ins and outs, but we can assume from everything we've heard that the back room and the club itself haven't been the most productive, shall we say, and has been quite a negative atmosphere for the players and the staff members. So I think we've had a lot of staff move on. Director of women's football's gone. So you just think, okay, this is the time for a fresh start. Like, that's the end of the season we want to pick up on. And I think I was reading Ewers's interview earlier, and she said, to be in charge of this new phase and to help the club reach that next step, she's really looking forward to doing. So if that's true, I really hope it is, and that she's going to be so much better for the job. But yeah, it just makes you think, has it been a money thing? Was it just a personnel thing? But yeah, something hasn't been right for a long time at Villa. So D-. Yeah, it's been.
Oh, you're generous.
I know. I don't know what's got into me. Go on then, Gary. Rip into
Genuinely, like, social media has been so bad. Communication has been so bad. Recruitment has been so bad. This for a while they're coming from them, but there's been very little to sort of celebrate as to what they were actually doing. Social media is slowly getting a little bit better. But of anybody that I've met at the club staff-wise, there's only one person that I would call a shining light. She doesn't hold an important role behind the scenes, but she's extremely important to us. It's a lady called Emily Peacock.
Oh, Emily.
The things that she's done to help us out, the fan club, she's active in our fan club. So people have questions about what's going on, like, she is our main sort of point of communication for, like, there was the day where you go and watch the players open trading and stuff like that, we were getting nothing from the club, but she was able to keep us in the loop and tell us, like, we're making plans, we're aiming for this sort of time, that didn't give us an exact day, but at least sort of told us it's going to be heading around this week and stuff like that. She's able to answer questions. Lindsay, that I would sort of go to the games with, she's in a wheelchair and sometimes needs a bit of assistance, with her ticket. Like, at the start of the season, her ticket didn't work properly, but she was able to message Emily, who's there on a match day, and Emily literally had the ticket sorted for her within about 15 minutes. She's just that hands-on that, she is that shining light. And Emily is the difference between me giving the club an F and an E. She is the only person that pulls up that grade. She's that good. But the rest of them are virtually useless.
And she even, the tickets had gone off sale for a game. I can't remember which game I was going to go to. But I messaged her and was like, I've just found out I can come. Is there any way I can get a ticket? And she was like, yep, I'll put the link back live for you. So she reopened the ticket in, so more fans could get tickets before the game. And it's just little things like that you think, that's the person who just such a good liaison between us and the club. And without her, we wouldn't really know what's happening, just like Gary said. So, and she cares. And I think that's the main difference. They've actually got someone there on the ground who cares about the fans and actually wants to make a difference. And I think more, the club could learn a lot from that. So yeah, massive shout out to Emily.
Well, especially for being a Coventry supporter. She's not even a Villa supporter. She's Coventry. She's the next one across. But yeah, the thing she does for us is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the grade then? It's not an F, obviously. So
it was an E. She was the only thing that put that grade up from an F to an E.
Oh, well, that's a huge jump, though. Okay.
But that's how good Emily is.
It sounds like it.
If it was just her, it'd be an A+, but unfortunately the rest of them were putting her down,
That's great. What do you got, Emma?
I'm going to echo pretty much what both of these two have already said. We employed a new social media manager at the start of the season, yet kind of got nothing until recently on social media. Like there was the occasional like update, once in a blue moon. I miss, and I think all of us on Part of the Pride have said this week in, week out, we miss the injury updates. Like every week we used to get a little injury thing on Facebook telling you who was out, why they were out, and any updates on their recovery. Like silly little things like that we all miss because that kept us all in the loop as fans. Whereas we had to rely on the pre-match stuff that doesn't come out until the day before a game to figure out who was going to be injured, who was going to be out of the question for the games. Like there was no communication from Villa to fans to tell us anything to do with the players. We'd get the occasional video on Instagram, the occasional picture that was definitely forced. Like you could tell because they all looked suspiciously happy considering everything that was going on. They all looked really suspiciously happy.
Do you remember there was one training video and we were all trying to suss out who was actually there, but it was moving really quickly, so we all had to pause it at different places to be like, right, what position is she? It's Sab's playing outfield. What's going on?
I remember that.
We resorted to things like that, and you just think we shouldn't have to do that, but we do because that shows commitment. Mad, absolutely mad.
But yeah, Emily is just the heart and soul of the club at the minute. Like she's just always on it. The social media is gradually getting better. Like we are occasionally getting a TikTok. Like we were getting them towards the end of the season. I think we were getting about one a week. Like because they did the one where they merged players' faces. They did a weird mini golf one. They do like random questions on the way to training as well, which I think are quite good because they did one that was, I think it was like mid-November, and it was like, is it too early to put your Christmas tree up? And it was just so lovely because you're getting like stupid little facts that's making you feel a bit close to the players, and it's making you feel like you know the players a bit more. So I'm going to give it a D purely because the social media is kind of getting there. I mean, if we can keep progressing, get some more for like when the season starts again, we don't want it to die off and then have to go back to the beginning again. And Emily's just Emily. Do you know what I mean? Like she's just incredible.
Yeah, there are some saving graces.
Shout out to Emily. Talking about losing the injury reports and things like that. It just triggered a memory of Nick Cushing. Because they would always ask him about injuries and okay, who's healthy, who are we gonna have available, and he would never answer. He'd be like, "Just watch our social media posts." Like he would like almost like he was complaining that it tells people who's healthy and who's not. It was like, and it was a good like month long. That's all he would say is, "Just watch our social media and you can tell. Just watch our social media and you can tell." It's like, why are you such an asshole? Do you want this job or not? Do you want to stay in City Football Group like you say you do or not? Like I already wasn't thrilled that he was coming back, and just his energy was not great, and he like said the same things over and over and over again, but a lot of it was, the players, they just need to believe. They just need to believe. Okay, well, give them something to believe in, my guy. Like they've had such a tough year, injuries, and you were supposed to come and help save or at least straighten things out. And he just did like a reductive version of Gareth Taylor's tactics. And it just, by the end of the season, everybody wanted it to end. The supporters did such a great job at staying positive, honestly, because it was a tough end of the year, just watching those games, and you could just see that the players weren't loving the game, and that hurts when you like, this is supposed to be the game that they love, and you could just tell they weren't as excited. And then Leah Alexandria, get her out of here. Oh goodness gracious, it's a lot.
She's gone. It's okay.
I know. I record. We're doing ours for the City Women next week, and I already know when we get to Leah Alexandria, there's gonna be a good 5 to 10 minutes where we're just being thankful that she is gone and why the many reasons why we're thankful. And then just side Jade. So it's like, oh, that's an upgrade right there. Like just off the fact that she's like 6'2", like she's a giant. I wasn't even aware of that. And then I saw her like pocketing Sam Kerr, and I was just like, I thought I was gonna get a Carolyn shirt. I might have to get a Carolyn and a Rose shirt. Like I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, friends, this was a pleasure. I completely appreciate y'all giving me a bit of your time today. Please plug the show. Let people know where they can find you and the things that you all do.
Yeah, sure. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having us back on. We absolutely love it. Our Villa podcast, part of the Pride Pods, we're currently on a summer break, but we will be back Thursdays at 8 o'clock live on YouTube, and we're across all socials at Part of the Pride as well. And our parent channel is the Whole 115 Yards, and we've also got a WSL and WSL2 transfer tracker as well, which is live. So on the website, it's right there. So if anyone wants to keep up to date with all the latest news, then go check that out as well, please.
All that. Well, either of you two, Gary, Emma, you want to plug anything that you guys got going on? Let people know where they want to find you.
No, quite happy. It's just part of the pride to be, the podcast that it's part of, and anything that I do in my normal life, nobody's going to want to see it. But not everybody likes fire alarms, so.
I'll echo again, part of the pride. I have quite a boring life again, so no one's going to want to see it. My personal. I did try posting about football, but then that required me posting every week, and I take the content and then forget. Well, I meant to send Freya the content every week, and I forget. Freya can vouch for that. I quite often don't send the
should try us, bless out. So on a Thursday, that's where you'll find us.
Love it.
For the most part.
Love it. Well, let's see. Tomorrow, who do we have? I believe tomorrow is West Ham with Phil. Yes, tomorrow's West Ham, everybody. So we will see you all tomorrow. But until then, the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.